Hi, and welcome to Sound Sketchy, the show where we take characters from concept to creation. I'm your host, Jeffrey. I'm a professional voice actor and visual artist. To help bring our character to life, we'll be taking the following steps. We'll randomly generate a character prompt, we'll draw that character, then I'll give the character a voice, and finally we'll put it all together and have some fun getting to know our character. Along the way, we'll give them a vibrant personality, a unique challenge to overcome, incorporate their personality into their visual design, and then provide them with a voice that expands on all of these elements. Let's get started with our prompt, which is an intellectual erudite train set. Okay. Uh, let's think about this for a second. So, what do we do when we have an intellectual character that also has good knowledge? I guess we have to differentiate because they are very similar. So, if we want to differentiate a train set, so I guess we're going full Thomas. I've got an idea. So, an intellectual, I think, is somebody who is better described as somebody who thinks for thought's sake. So maybe likes the process of exercising their knowledge. And erudite, to me, is more indicative of somebody who studies a lot. They have a lot of knowledge. So I think that's where we can get our distinction is not only is this a well-learned train set, but it's also a smart one. So let's get our sketch down. Now, with train sets, going back to our character shapes, we have a square, of course. It's a nice box. And, I mean, to do a box, that's really... You draw a square, and then you draw lines leading away from the square, and then you connect them. That's a pretty basic shape there. Now, if I wanted to show that it's a train set, that means more than just one train. And I think I know a good way to show the knowledge as well as the thought. So, if there was this train, very Thomas the Tank Engine here, then I want to have personality, either an accessory or something about his appearance that makes us think he's very clever. So if I were to think about somebody clever, like a philosopher, so somebody that is thinking through things, like how I'm thinking of how to do this prompt, then let's have the eyes facing upward and a pensive brow. And now, here's something to keep in mind when you're drawing, especially for expressions, is you want to analyze the subtleties of the expressions. What is the difference between ecstatic and excited? And this is also something that applies to performance work, voiceover work. Finding the differences or creating clear distinctions between similar sounding qualities, emotions, interpretations is key for accurately representing a character. Often you will be asked to show very specific emotions, and not always will you be given the opportunity to really dwell on it. The expectation is often, hey, you know what you're doing. We're spending time and money here in the studio. Go. We don't have the time or the luxury to wait around while you decide what you should sound like. And the last thing that I would want anybody to do is lose out on an opportunity because they were a little too slow to make a strong decision. And goodness knows, I can sometimes struggle to make a strong decision, but it's something I'm working on and getting better at. And it's a constant strive. So, my idea here was I want a really thick book. I want an encyclopedia level book. And my thinking is maybe this is a magical train set. And it takes place in a book. So, some kind of storyland. So that would explain why the train set, it would give a setting for the train set that's larger than just one single train. And if there's more than one train, that might mean I need to come up with more than one design. And that is certainly a path I could take. Let me finish this idea here before I get too far ahead of myself. And is this going to be, if it's a train set, is the train set itself the sentient object? Or are the trains the sentient object? Or is it an entire ecosystem? Are they both sentient? So while I'm figuring that out, that's good enough for me. We'll clean up our lines a little bit here. So when we're thinking erudite, we're thinking a book and a train are all square shaped. I'm getting back into the mindset. So when thinking of our character design, right? We are working with a bunch of square shapes, and that indicates a sense of groundedness. I like this, but maybe let's help guide myself and my hand a little bit more. That's good. Now, something that you could do if you want to draw a straight line, and you won't be able to see this here, but even if you're on a tablet and you want to draw a straight line and you're struggling, why not grab a ruler? So you can't see it because this is a real life ruler, but I actually just took out a ruler and I'm using it to guide my pen. So I'm not looking for perfect, but I would like a little bit better than these lines that I have been drawing to get the pages. Yeah, that's good enough for me. That looks like a book, a little bit more like a book anyway. And so we're going to be working with every shape here, it would seem. What was I talking about? For character designs. So we'll definitely be working with squares. That's a for sure. And we can also think about what kind of other shapes we want to incorporate. So triangles tend to be clever. They indicate a clever character. That also indicates speed and quickness. So I think the square is going to help ground our character, so they won't have that speedy quality because square shapes tend to be grounded shapes. However, let me just get the spine of this book just right. You know, I'm realizing I don't draw a lot of books. Not to this extent of detail anyway. I think I know what I need to do differently. So if these connect, because the idea is that these pages come down. And yes, I would like to erase these. So let's think about how we're going to portray this triangles. Let's figure out how to incorporate triangles into this design so that we can get that very smart, those very intellectual qualities across. Now, intellectual and erudite. So well-learned could be this book. All right, there's this knowledge here. Oof. Okay, at some point I'm gonna have to just be happy with these lines and leave it as is. But sometimes, you get so fixated on something. I'm gonna slow down my drawing. I'm gonna slow my arm speed, my drawing speed down, so I can make sure to get this right where I want it. Thank you. There we go. That's better. And now I'm realizing the whole set, this whole book page looks weird because it's got a curve to it now. So we'll keep this curve on the side, and instead I will start from scratch, and I'm just going to follow along for the first bit. When you're drawing rounded shapes, sometimes splitting it up into smaller lines instead of trying to do the whole length can be helpful. The other thing that you can sometimes do is make little place markers for yourself. So if I did a little notch here and on the edge of the book and towards the center of the spine, and I look at the end result, then often my hand will know what to do and it'll follow that path that I've created. Yeah, so fairly consistent. It's a curved line, so it doesn't work maybe super well, but again, keep trying stuff until it sticks. So this is so far much better. And let's get our spine in here. Yes, our cover spine, our spine for the book cover. Did anybody ever go to, I don't know if this is still a thing. I think so, because I do get some auditions for it every once in a while. The Scholastic Book Fair. I remember loving the Scholastic Book Fair when it would come through at my school. There was always some really cool stuff. That's how I discovered series that I really got into as a kid. That's where I discovered Captain Underpants. Yes, Captain Underpants was around in the 90s. It was there before. I know it's had a resurgence recently, and there's so many more characters in that verse, like Dogman. But surprise, surprise, it's been around for quite a long time. And I really enjoyed Captain Underpants. I discovered Calvin and Hobbes through there. So a lot of really cool stuff at book fairs. I got some video games from there. So it was always really fun when the Scholastic Book Fair came through. And we also got to leave class and go hang out. So it was like we got to play hooky as well. So a good time all around. Now, my intellectual erudite train set. Let's draw a train track. And we're going to keep it fairly simple. Great. And we'll make a follow along. Yes. Okay, I like where this is going so far. And there we go. Oh, shoot. I want to fix this last line here. Didn't quite turn out how I wanted. Which, again, is okay. We're not going to get too bogged down. But we're also going to make sure that we're happy with what we have. And when you're drawing and cartooning, you have the option to keep things simple or detailed and complicated. For this, we're going to keep it simpler. This is a whole train set. So I want to make sure that I get enough details to read that this is, in fact, a train set. And not get so bogged down by the details. The further out your perspective, the smaller the details become. And the more difficult to make out those characteristics are as well. So here's our train set. That's our train track. Let's do one of those crossing signals here. And I think this is what it looks like. I'm literally drawing by the seat of my pants here. It's part of the fun on the Sound Sketchy show. Now, I'm just drawing for the sake of getting the ideas out. And at some point, I'm going to have to circle around and actually come up with this character and what they look like. And I believe I've just hit on an idea. So here's our water tower. And, or I guess refuel station. I always thought it was a water tower, but maybe it's actually something else. There we go. And to me, this looks like we've got two eyes and a very weird long mouth. And we'll have our train friend right along this track here. I'm going to draw a little square and another little square. And I'm going to connect these two. Get our little train wheels. And this is going to be a stogie. Well, no, not a stogie. This is a erudite. It's an intellectual. So this will be something more of a pipe. Yeah, so the shape of this train's, I guess, whatever this vent, is that what it's called? The part where the smoke billows out of. That will be like the edge of a pipe. And I'll make a delightful little smoke trail here. Yep, I'm quite happy with that. And maybe this can act as a bit of a monocle, because there is a spout that connects up to these trains to refuel. So this will be like a monocle. So this is a great first sketch and an idea. So this train set is going to be the actual animate object. Now that we've got this idea, I'm going to start redrawing this character. That's my cat in the background. And I mentioned something about drawing and using triangles, and we kind of threw that to the side, but I think that that's okay. So, what would this character look like if they were in a different angle? So, if this book was upright, and we had our pages opened, let's get that curve in here. Here we go. Now, which way would these pages be? I guess it depends on which way we want this character to be facing. So is the perspective that they're looking up or down? Let's go with up. Here we go. So this is it's a train set that is built out of a book. I think that that's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll make it a little easier on ourselves. We'll make sure this is a nice thick book. Haven't lost that. And we're going to take it a little easier on these lines. And here is our train track. And these will be a large set of lips. And not saying that he can't have a voice, but when I think of him having a big pipe or cigarette and he's got this big mouth, I want to go in the direction of a thick New York Italian accent. Hey, how you doing? But that don't seem to... That seems kind of train conductor-like to me. I could definitely hear somebody like that working on a train yard. But maybe that's not right. And those guys could be intellectual too. Maybe that is part of the fun, is that this is a character that is an intellectual and doesn't at all sound like it. Let's break the rules just a little bit. So, well, not breaking the rules even. This is us making it up as we go. So, I guess the question is, do I want... That's an ice cream truck outside. So we got our little triangle in here, and we'll make our next shape here. I'll do another triangle. And now, should I make a intellectual scholar's cap? Or shall I leave it as is? I kind of want to give him a hat. And at the same time, I don't. This is definitely a prompt that allows for a lot of creative thinking. Here we go. So here is that part. And how do I show this train hanging off? And that ice cream truck is just right there. So this is going to be a really small train. And here we go. I want to make sure there's enough room to let that mouth curve happen. And so we will cover this detail. And we have our train. This is looking pretty good so far. So let's get back to our character here. He's an intellectual, well-learned. You know, as I'm thinking about it, because you could have an intellectual who is erudite and trains is his whole thing. He's been out here, he's seen it all, he's worked on trains. Now, which way do I want this train facing? Because I'd love to get the smoke blowing away. I guess he is a smoker. Or at least this is his version of a pipe. But I don't want the smoke blowing in his face is the only thing. I have no idea. This doesn't even look like a train to me. Hang on. Trains have that front, right? They have that grill. Yeah, there we go. Okay. If I had more time, I would probably redraw this character a little larger so that I could show off that train a little bit more. I gotta think about what a train actually looks like. Here we go. So it's got that little back to it. I know what a train looks like, guys. An old choo-choo train. Here we go. That ice cream truck is still outside. I wonder if that's copyright. I wonder if that tiny little tinny sound is copyrighted. I don't think so, because it's on a. I can't control that, and it's not the audio I'm picking, but who knows? I guess we'll find out. So here is our train. That took quite a while to figure out. And off of this train, we will have our smoke. Bigger smoke trails. Do, 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 do. So this is Ernie. And Ernie has been working on the trains for as long as he can remember, and he is well learned. He knows everything that there is to know about trains. He's seen it all, and he could tell you a tale or two, buddy. And let's get a little more detail on our friend here. He could tell you everything there is about trains and then some, and he's also got a bit of a philosopher's streak. If you've ever worked in an environment with an older gentleman, I think you'll probably have run into this archetype. He's a guy that's got a saying and a life philosophy for every circumstance. I want this book to be even thicker. Just if the thickness of the book is yes, it's a way to show how much knowledge he's accumulated over his life. That's definitely the way I want to go. So, if you ever worked with a guy who has seen a lot of life, he's usually in a bit of an older fella. Gonna move these guys out of the way too. And he's seen it all. He's got a story for everything, and he has his own personal philosophy. Then you know what this guy's all about and his whole deal. So this is Ernie. I'll resize him so he's a little bit bigger and I can fill in more of these details. And what sort of philosophies would Ernie have? He'd be the kind of guy that says, hey, if you see a penny on the tracks, don't pick it up. And people might not even know what he's saying with that. And don't throw stones at glass. And don't throw stones at glass houses. And the like. I think there's a lot of fun to be had there. Just your usual gruff, seen it all, been around the block. If you had been through what I'd been through, oh, you wouldn't be so mouthy. You need life life takes some strange turns, kid. Sometimes the turn signal will take you in a whole direction that you didn't anticipate. And the best thing that you can do for yourself, kid, is just smile, grin and bear it, and treat yourself to a new adventure. Because there's no use crying. There's no use crying when all you could when you could be being productive. You think I got this position in life? You think I got this far? You think I got this far by complaining? No. Today's kids don't know how good they got it. Now, like me, yeesh. If you'd grown up where I'd grown up, I don't think you'd be making it. I don't think we'd be discussing it right now. To be quite honest with you. Ugh. Yeah, I've seen a lot out here on these train tracks. You ever seen a pile up and you don't want to see them? You don't want to see them. Alright. So, I'm gonna keep working on this voice here. I kind of like what I'm slowly evolving into. But why don't you just sit back there? Why don't you just seat yourself right back there? Relax, kick back, and I'll be back again with you shortly. I got some things I gotta go take care of, alright? And, I got some things I gotta take care of. So, you do your best, you stay out of trouble, and, I'll catch up with you in a little bit, alright? And like I said, look both ways before you cross the tracks. Because you never know where you might wind up. And, hey, did you hear about... You know, You ever think about philosophy? Yeah. How did they come up with that word? Philosophy. You know? I bet... Do you think that they called each other philosophists? You think they called each other philosophists? I don't know if they did. People probably think they were full of themselves. They probably were too. But you know, some of them had some pretty good ideas. I mean, if you got a name like Bacon. I mean, look, bacon is bacon. The guy was smart. I'm telling you right now. I'll tell you that for free. Alright, so with that, I think we are good to go. And we've met our good friend Eddie. Ernie? Ernie. I like Ernie. And with that, let's go ahead and meet our new friend, Ernie. Ernie, great to have you on the show. How's your day going? I've had better. Great start. Let's not waste any time. I know you're a busy... what are you exactly? What do I look like? Your mother? I'm a train set. A train set? You heard me. A train set. You look like a book. Yeah, that's because I'm intellectual. I'm eruditic. Do you mean that you display erudition? Whatever. Look, I know a lot about trains. So you know more about trains than just about anybody else? That's correct. Okay, can you hit us with a big train fact? Trains are number one users of train tracks. I can't argue with that logic. There, you see? I know everything. Okay, moving on. What is that in your mouth? It's a train. But it seems like you're taking a drag. We don't allow smoking in the studio. It's steam powered. Yeah, sure. Okay. And what do you do in your spare time? I read. You do? What? Does that sound so unbelievable? A guy like me would read? Well, No, actually, since you're a book, I feel like it makes total sense that you would read. What's your favorite type of book to read?
Encyclopedias.
Okay, well, that sounds super interesting. Ernie, we're all out of time. If you had one final piece of advice to share with our viewers, what would it be?
Sometimes life can feel like you're on a train track and you have one direction that you're predestined to go down, and you don't get any say in it. All you can do is just chug along, take in the scenery, don't take nothing for granted. It can always be worse, and do what you can to make the ride enjoyable.
Huh. You know, that's actually quite nice. Thanks for sharing that, Ernie.
Yeah, well, don't get used to it. I don't like this teary-eyed, sentimental crap. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Can we turn the cameras off or something? Oh, Ma!
Okay.
Ma!
I think we're having a little bit of...
I missed you, Ma.
Okay, and we're going to cut the break here. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Ernie. If you like this episode, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Leave a comment down below letting us know what you thought. And if you want even more of this, you can check out our previous episodes. We have this one here where we meet a friendly, reputable picture frame, or you can get started at the very beginning and get to know what a Barenbow is. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye now.
So sad.